The NFL playoffs continue to roll on in the search of a Super Bowl champion. And as the NFL looks to crown their winner, we look to keep doing the same thing, cashing bets all season long. Welcome to the NFL Divisional Round Best Bets and Props episode. Welcome, football fans, to another edition of a playoff edition of the Degen Docs. That is right, folks. NFL divisional round after a super wild card weekend. We had it all last weekend. The NFL certainly delivered. We're looking for it to not only deliver again, but deliver some paychecks to our bank accounts. That is right, folks. It is the NFL divisional round. Best bets and props. And this is the Degen Docs. And look, folks, I am the Degen Doc. But more importantly, I am joined by my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, a.k.a. Professor Locks. How we doing tonight, brother?
I'm very confused. I don't know what to think now.
I don't know where this is going. This
is as a Steelers fan.
Okay. That's what we're confused about.
I don't know what to think. Because yes, we had a great Saturday. We had a great Sunday of football, and then
not such a good Monday, man.
Yeah, Monday was rough for my black and gold, but
yeah, it was. We will get into that because I need to get
Tuesday was kind of rough too, but we'll see.
Yeah, we need to get your reactions. But hey, folks, look. Welcome to the NFL Divisional Round Best Bets and Props episode. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to the team. You caught us just in time before this wonderful NFL season wraps up. And if you've been rocking with us all season, we appreciate you. Look, I know we've gotten some new subscribers over the weekend, so hey, maybe it's your first time checking out. Let's do a little show structure. This is what to expect here. We'll start off the show with a little bit of banter. We got some coaching news, major coaching news for both Derek's Steelers and my New York Giants. We will do our takeaways from the wildcard weekend, a little records recap from last week, and then we'll get right into it. 4-game breakdown. We've got player props. We've got anytime touchdown bets. We've got sides. And, of course, at the end, we'll do everyone's favorite segment, the Best Bets segment, where we talk about our favorite plays for the entire slate here. But, hey, let's get to it. You are already alluding to it. After a 7th straight loss in the playoffs in somewhat embarrassing fashion.
Somewhat. They were losing by 21 points in each of the last 7 games at some point.
I will just say that the beginning of that game, look, I caught up late. So we didn't get to talk much during the game because, if your wife ever decides to sign you up for a water testing during the NFL playoffs, and it takes 2 hours, I know your pain. It's a terrible pain. Thankfully, we were able to kind of catch up fast forward. And it was her team, too. I don't know what the hell's going on through her head there. But, man, it was going good early. It was ugly. It looked like the Steelers might
they were moving the ball the first couple drives. I'm thinking
defense was creating turnovers. They were bending, not breaking. And then it just all went to shit. And, that Rodgers sack fumble for a touchdown, that was just it. 4 points seemed like a miracle. 10-point lead was just so much. So Mike Tomlin officially stepping down. They said he's stepping down. First thing I want to know, do you think he was fired or is he retiring?
No, he's stepping down.
Okay.
I think it'll be very interesting to see what he does after a year because for those people that have followed along with the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers and their head coaches. They've had 3 coaches since 1969.
Right.
Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin.
Number 4 is on its way.
The middle one, Bill Cowher, retired at a young age. He stepped down at a young age. Everybody thought at the time that he would go do TV for a year and then jump back into coaching. Well, TV is not a bad gig because you don't have nearly as many people yelling at you on a week-to-week basis. So, we all know that Mike Tomlin knows his way around a microphone, and I think that he's going to be a hit on TV if that's the direction that he goes. And it'll be interesting to see how much he misses the sideline.
Do you think this was like a mutual actual decision? Do you think the ownership pushed him out, or you think like
I don't know. I think that at this point, Mike Tomlin had kind of saw the writing on the wall.
right?
I mean, 6 or 8 weeks ago, the entire stadium was chanting "Fire Tomlin," and when you've been there for 19 years, you've had a lot of success, you've had some downtime times as well. You know, at certain points, you just got to say, "Hey, let
Yeah,
me do something
it's
else."
time.
And, when it comes to uh, ownership, right?
Right.
It's a smart idea to just, hey, just go ahead and walk out the door if that's the direction that went, because they do still own his rights. And if
I was
he
gonna say,
come
yeah.
back to coach, somebody's going to have to
That's
trade for Mike
that's
Tomlin.
a good point because yeah, that's the key difference here. It's not a firing and it's not a retiring, right?
Similar to the Sean Payton
Right. They
situation 4 or
still
5 years
own
ago.
his coaching rights. So, if he goes TV for a year, takes a gap year, does whatever Mike Tom wants to do,
Yep.
he can't just jump right back in and be a coach. So he would
Yep.
have to, yeah, be traded or they would have to let him go. So that
Right.
is an interesting note there as well. Look, I'll talk about my Giants briefly because it's less concrete. There's nothing really yet, but there is a lot of smoke.
Yep.
I
And before we move on there, whoever the Steelers end up hiring, like best of luck, good luck, following the man, kind of a thing.
right
But at the same time, I think that Yinzers might be okay with a
with some
down
change.
year. With a down year, I mean, they've had 19 winning seasons in a row, and that's just under Mike Tomlin. I don't
Right.
remember if Cowher came off of a winning season or not, but
Yeah.
this quarterback draft, we just heard that Dante Moore is going back to Oregon. It's basically Mendoza or bust, and he's not getting past one.
Benson, I
The
guess.
Steelers aren't
Benson.
going up to one.
Yeah.
And next year, you got Arch, you got a couple other guys that might be coming out. So,
Yeah, that's not a bad take at all. All right, enough Steelers talk. Just real quick on my New York Giants. They officially interviewed John Harbaugh today. Had him in the building, the first team to actually do an in-person interview with him. He is, according to like 5 minutes ago, I think he did leave the building finally. I think it started in the morning and he's just now leaving.
yep.
It sounds like he's going to hear out the Titans and the Falcons. We'll see. A lot of Giants fans were saying this is a done deal. I'm not quite there because I've been a fan of this team and I know they can blow leads. So
Yep.
let's see. This regime is not giving me a lot
Yep.
of confidence.
Let's not get too excited over a bit of banter.
Right,
At the end of the day.
exactly. But I am a little optimistic. It seems like there's legitimate interest here. It'd be great if they bring Harbaugh. It would right a lot of wrongs that this regime has bought. So exciting there. But hey, this wild card slate was incredible, especially early on.
Yep. And you had a pretty good week last week.
It was a fun, solid week. We'll get to the recaps, but just from like a game perspective, man, especially those first 4 games, 4 one-score games. The first 3 games, the team that was down at the 2-minute warning wind up winning.
Yeah.
And then the last game, I thought went pretty well with the Eagles going down there with Kevin Patullo and not doing much in the second half like they've done all year. Finally came back to bite them in the spot that, their fans claimed it would never do. So the injured Brock Purdy's and the what is it? Electromagnetic, Achilles tendon tears, whatever the hell they're going on over there. They got it done. So what was your take for just the general wildcard weekend, man? How'd you think it went?
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday. I mean, we had game after game after game that were just barn burners. It was a hell of a weekend. We talked about last week being like the best football week of the year with the 2 college football playoff games. First one again, barn burner. It was awesome. Second one, not so great. NFL followed it up with 2 great games on Saturday, 3 pretty good games on Sunday, and then a little bit of stinker, at least second half of the Monday night Steelers Texans game. But at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know if the NFL could have asked for a better weekend.
Yeah, it was awesome. And just going to the college, I will take that as someone who went on all the Indiana alts that I could find and the defensive first touchdown. I really enjoyed that Oregon getting demolished by Indiana. So, but hey, look, speaking of a little bit of recap here of last week. So wild card weekend. not bad overall. Overall, the show was up 8.5 units there.
Yep.
I went 9-8 and plus 9 units. You not so great, but you really only finished down half a unit because you were 3 out of 6 for your anytime touchdowns.
Right.
You hit a couple juicy ones. I know one that I hit, Bryce Young, anytime touchdown at 8-1.
Yeah, I
really
think the two shortest odds were 2 of the 3 that did not hit, which
with
was,
Cook and somebody else.
don't
Yeah,
play chalk all the time.
exactly. So hey, that's why you send those long shots in, man. They've been coming home this year. I was very excited. I think we've actually both started. We were both 3-0 on the Saturday game. It was looking really, really good, and it tapered off a little bit there. But hey, 8.5 units on one show, up 8.5 units is never a bad thing. And look, getting into a little bit of futures talk. We're not probably going to add any at this point because we got some decent positions, the both of us. But you cashed, unfortunately, the Steelers to lose in the wild card round at plus 320.
So well.
You gave that out. You nailed the Steelers, man. You gave out the over win total. You gave out the make playoffs. You gave out the win division, which was like 5-1. And then you gave out for them to lose in the wild card round. So you swept your Steelers well. So I will give you credit where credit is due.
Yeah. Now with this new regime coming in, we'll see if that continues. It might take a couple years, but
I was gonna say it might take a little while to dial it in. But kudos to you as Tomlin's. I feel like we should give him a 21-gun salute here on his way out. But for you have the Bills Super Bowl you gave out at 6-1. That is still alive and well. For myself, I've got the Rams to win the NFC at 11-1, the Broncos to win the AFC at 18-1, and then the Rams Super Bowl at 22-1 was what I gave out in the preseason. So we'll see. Those are close, but not quite there yet. Still need to make it through a couple more games here. But feel some good spots in there. So no real need to add any futures here.
Yep.
So let's just get right to it, man. Again, this is the NFL divisional round, baby. All those guys looking to play a role here, especially look at that number 44, Mr. Kyle Juszczyk.
That's
Maybe more important this week with no George Kittle. So the way this will go down is we'll go big game by game. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk, obviously the odds. We'll let you everything you need to know from weather to injuries to what plays Derek and I are on. Let's go ahead and kick this off here with the first game on Saturday, our first AFC divisional round game. Saturday, January 17th, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. We've got the 12-5 Buffalo Bills heading to Denver, Colorado to take on the number 1 seed, 14-3 Denver Broncos. Weather-wise, it is going to be 50s and sunny there. Not a lot of weather in Mile High over there in Denver, Colorado. The Bills this has been a little bit all over the place, but what we've got here, all of our odds are via DraftKings just to keep it easy and simple. But don't worry, if we go away from DraftKings, we will let you know what book that comes from. But plus 1.5, minus 118. They are minus 105. Small road dogs there. And then the Broncos, minus 115, the other way on the money line, minus 102, the minus 1.5. Over-under sitting at 45.5. That's kind of switched. It's been a little bit, I think it opened up as the Bills as small favorites. It's kind of been bouncing around between the 1.5s there. So injuries may have played a role in why that number has been bouncing around. The Bills have no wide receivers left. They lost Gabe Davis and Tyrell Shravers, both to ACL tears last week. They're done for the year. Joshua Palmer, also the week before the playoffs, got ruled out for the year with an ankle injury. Also got out some other guys banged up here. Cornerback Maxwell Harston, safety Jordan Poyer, both did not practice back-to-back days, including today. They could be getting some guys back, however. Josh Allen was a full practice today. Curtis Samuel, who coming off potentially the IR with a neck injury, he's practiced full practices 2 days in a row, as well as Ed Oliver with a bicep injury. So potential to get those guys back. Harrison and Poyer not looking so good. But Terrell Bernard also back-to-back practices. So they've got a decently big Damar Hamlin. Safety Damar Hamlin is also full practice both days. So potentially some guys back, but they are definitely the more injured team going into this. If we flip to the Broncos side of the ball, fairly healthy. Tight end Lucas Kroll trying to come off IR with a foot injury. He's had back-to-back limited practices probably needs at least a full practice, at least one to come back. So we'll see about him. But defensive tackle John Franklin Myers, full practice today. He should be good to go. And the linebackers, Dre Greenlaw and Drew Sanders. Greenlaw's come back from a hamstring injury. He's kind of had a hamstring injury on and off this year. Two
Yep.
limited practices. It's a good sign he was out there both days, but we'd probably like to see a full practice, especially with that hamstring. So he might be the one to watch there for the Broncos. But still, much healthier team coming off the bye, coming off of the rest here in this one. How you see it going down?
Yeah, I mean, Denver got a little bit of a rest, right? And
Correct.
the Bills barely snuck it out down there in Jacksonville. And in general, with the injuries, on top of just how the Bills have played as of late. I mean, they went on a pretty good run there towards the end of the season. They lost to the Eagles, and then they have been on a 2-game winning streak, I guess, at this point. But I'm on the Denver Broncos in this one. I mean, that defense is still one of the best top 3 probably units in the league, in my opinion. And, I think the Bills defense is middling. I think it's one that at times it shows up and looks pretty good, but in most cases those are bad offenses when they do. And I think Denver's, especially at home with a little bit of rest with Sean Payton at the helm, calling plays, I think that they're going to get the offense rolling enough to squeak out a win, and kind of foil the Bills' chances to go on a little bit of a run here. So I'm on Denver -1.5.
Yeah, I'm on Denver too. That's over on Score, old ESPN bet. It was -105 earlier today on the money line, so I'm on the money line there.
Yep.
Look, Denver is a team where I think Buffalo was super fortunate to come out of that game. Jacksonville game was a win. It was a coin flip game. It wound up going their way in the end. But I think Denver is a very similar version of Jacksonville. And I think the key difference here is I think their home field advantage is going to play a little bit of a bigger edge. I also trust, it's weird to say, but I think their coach, Sean Payton, has been there before. They've have Liam Cohen was a first-year head coach. Sean Payton's been there. Bo Nix has a little bit of playoff experience there. I know the one game against Buffalo, revenge spot when they went to Buffalo and got their ass kicked last year, right? They're a healthier team coming in. Look, if you want to frustrate this Bills offense, you have to do, one thing. You got to stop the run, right?
Yep.
We look at the games where they played someone who could stop the run. New England, they lost 23-20. Atlanta, they lost 24-14. Houston, 23-19. Philly, 13-12 loss. And then, Jacksonville, they squeaked out a 3-point win that could have gone either way, right? If you look at that game, the Jags were doing anything. If they just would have ran the ball more, I think the Jags would have a lot more success. There's a couple plays that just kind of didn't go their way. I think that, magical run stops, especially you're lacking wide receivers. You got Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, I still don't think is 100%. So if they can't rely on James Cook to have a day, which Denver's defense, second in the league in rushing, right? They're only giving up 90 yards a game, and they have a better pass defense than the Jacksonville Jaguars do. So, Josh Allen is great. He played incredible, but he was also beat up, man.
Yes.
I think that this Denver defensive line is going to get after him. I think they're going to try to do too much, and I think Josh Allen's going to press a little bit, and we've seen him this year when he's not 100% and he's pressing. He doesn't quite look like Superman, and that's where the fumbles and interceptions and things start to happen. So I'm with you on Denver. I do.
Yeah, and to your point, as far as Josh Allen pressing, I think, historically, sometimes they almost put everything on Josh Allen, and sometimes they just forget that James Cook is there.
Yep.
And he's the leading back in the NFL, and that's going to lead me to my first prop here.
Yeah.
I'm taking James Cook under once again. I mean, his numbers at 76.5.
Easy cash last week.
You mentioned the Broncos being the second best rush defense in the league, giving up around 90 yards a game. Only about 72 of those are to the running back position as a whole, not just to the top back. 72 to the position as a whole. And if we look back over the last 3 weeks, James Cook hasn't hit this number. He hasn't gotten close in the last couple of weeks. So, I think James Cook, whether it's just having a rough time getting going or Brady and the Bills offense just putting it all on Josh Allen, I just don't think James Cook's going to get going once again. So give me James Cook under 76.5.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, look, I was on it last week when it was up in the 80, didn't even get
Yep.
close.
Nope.
They figured out they couldn't run and they had to find
46
a
on
way.
15 carries.
Very similar to what I think is going to happen here. So, yeah, I like that, man. All right, I'm going to stick with the ground game, but I'm going to go to the other team. Give me Jaleel McLaughlin over 15.5 rush yards. This is over at Bet365. I love this. I mean, look,
Yeah.
I will be laddering this just to kind of have a heads up. But you talk about a team that is great against the run in the Denver Broncos, and then you
Yep.
flip over to the Bills. They're a bottom 5 rush defense in the league.
Yep.
Regular season, they're giving up 136 yards a game.
Yep.
The Jaguars, dude, if they could run, whether it was Tootin or ETN, they both hit their numbers. Like,
Yep.
there was space, especially on the outside. I know Harvey's a faster back, but so is McLaughlin. He's got some speed. This is an incredibly low number. Look,
Yep.
they're talking about J.K. Dobbins coming back potentially next week, not this week. So I don't have to worry about that there. If you look at the past 7 games, he's only not hit this number once.
Yeah.
He had 41 last week, 40 the week before, 37. They had the 4 week, and then 22, 24, 19. He's went over this number pretty damn easily, and he's played some. I mean, he had 5 for 37 against the Jaguars, number one rush
Right.
defense in the league, right? So I think that this is Harvey's going to get his. I get it, but Harvey is not ready to take complete carries. He's not going to be a complete bell cow. They're going to have to get some other guys in there, and I think Jaleel McLaughlin is going to get some carries. I mean, I think he only needs maybe 3 to get this, but I think he's going to get probably 5, between 5 to 10. I think he's going to cruise over this number. So, yeah, Jaleel McLaughlin over 15.5 rush yards. What else you got for us?
Yeah, let's go to the anytime touchdown market. Cortland Sutton, anytime touchdown at
Love
plus
it.
190. I think
Love it.
it's just too easy there. He's by far their number one target. And he hasn't gotten one in the last 2 games. I mean, he didn't get too much run that last week against the Chargers, but he had 2 touchdowns the couple weeks before that, and I think he's missing the end zone a little bit after not scoring for a couple weeks here. So yeah, Cortland Sutton anytime touchdown plus 190.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. Just made a note to add that to my personal kitty there. We talked about the Bills, right? They're Maxwell Harrison still not practicing back-to-back days. Jordan Poyer, their safety, now not practicing. They're a little beat up in that back end. I do think there's going to be some space. They are the number one pass defense. They're a really good pass defense, but they got some guys beat up.
But they just gave up 2 touchdowns to the Jags. And I think that this Denver offense, especially being up at elevation at Mile High, I think they'll get things rolling.
Yeah. No, I think that, I really like that. And Cortland Sutton is a monster. He definitely has some big play catchability. They find him in the red zone. So I like that play. All right. On my side here, I'm going to go to Bills. I'll go to Bills positive. We talked about, I don't think that the running game is going to be able to get going. So they got to figure something out through the air. And the guy to do that, with Kincaid kind of being a little bit banged up, he does not look 100%. It's Khalil Shakir. I'm gonna go with receptions over 5.5 receptions. You're getting plus 120 over on FanDuel. Look, he had 12 targets and 12 catches last week. I mean, he only had 82 yards, which is kind of incredible. That is such so low. But that just tells you they are trying to pepper him with targets. If you can't get the passing game or the running game going, the screen game, short pass game is an extension of the run game. Get some guys out on the perimeter. Get these guys tackling in space. He's usually your slot guy, so he avoids, Pat Surtain there. So I think that they're going to have to get him involved early and often. They don't have many other options. Obviously, I do expect them to, be down a little bit in this game, that they're not going to be able to just run the ball and kind of, sit on it or whatever. I think their defense is going to let some things up, and I do think they're going to have to throw the ball. So Khalil Shakir is going to be the beneficiary of that. Just sounds too easy, man. I know 5.5 is usually a pretty big number for receptions, but 12 targets, 12 catches last week. You got 3 wide receivers that are down for the year. This is the guy he clearly trusts in Allen. It's the playoffs. You're not throwing to, some of these no-name guys. So, I'm going to go Shakir there. And then my last play, sack market was nice to us. Monday game was tough as far as, the first half under came in, but I gave out, I think, 4 different sack pops. They all came home. So some of these are very fun. Score app I found has the best prices. For this one, give me John Franklin Myers over a half a sack at plus 230.
Okay.
You got Nick Bonito. You got Jonathan Cooper. But the
Yep.
third guy behind them, he's got 7.5 sacks on the year, is John Franklin Myers. He's fully healthy. He's fully practicing today. And Josh Allen's going to run him around, and sometimes he runs himself right into some sacks. You got Bonito and Cooper off the edge, and then you got Franklin Myers there to come through the middle. Look, I also think that Franklin Myers and Cooper and Bonito can get theirs, but they're closer to, even money, things like that. I'm going to take the shot on the longer shot here. That's usually how I play my sacks. So John Franklin Myers over a half a sack at plus 230.
Yep.
All right, brother. So we are both on the Broncos. We are fading James Cook. You are on the rushing. You like Sutton to find the end zone. I like Shapiro to grab some passes, McLaughlin to get going on the ground, and then Franklin Myers to get over a half a sack there. Let's move on to the Saturday night game. We have got a
division matchup.
Third time this season, just like the Bears and Packers, and what a game that game was. So hopefully this
No
lives
doubt.
up to expectations. Saturday, January 17th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we have the 12-5 number 6 seed San Francisco 49ers heading to Lumen Field to take on the Seattle Seahawks, the number 1 seed, 14-3 Seattle Seahawks there. Seattle Seahawks that just beat this team to get the 1 seed. And that kind of figures into the spread. San Francisco is a +7 road dog. They're +275 on the money line. Over-under sitting at 45.5. The Seahawks there are -7, -120, -345 on the money line there. It is going to be high 40s and a little bit of wind, not much, especially for Seattle. At least at this point, is not to be expected. So the weather's not really expected to be that crazy here. Getting to the injuries, we'll see what we have. Unlikely. I mean, being on the West Coast, these teams probably haven't put out their injury report yet. So we're probably only going off one game. I will double check really quickly here what they got. Okay, so for the 49ers, they do have their practice report out. Oh, both these teams do. Excellent. Okay, so Ricky Pearsall back-to-back limited practices, so he has a chance to play. He said he's optimistic. We'll see, because you can't trust 49ers with injuries, but he's at least back at practice, which is a good sign. Trent Williams, good to go, full practice today. They've got some linebacker issues still. Luke Gifford not practicing, but both Fred Warner and D. Winters were a limited practice. Now, Fred Warner is a guy who they've always said it's the championship round that he would be able to possibly come back, as in the NFC Championship. Right. I saw a comment today that, he's just taking it day by day and didn't kind of put out. I think that's a bit of smoke. I would be very surprised if he comes back from that ankle fracture and comes back and plays this week. Sounds like next week, after actually having a week of practice would be more reasonable. But D. Winters has a chance to play. I mean, look, they did it with Eric Kendricks and some no-name guys last week. We'll see about this week, but they're definitely going to be thin. No Tatum Bethune, and it looks like no Luke Gifford. We'll see about D. Winters. And then safety Jair Brown, starting safety, young player there. He's not practicing as well. For the Seahawks, Charles Cross was a full practice yesterday, but now he's got downgraded to a limited practice. Sometimes that's built into part of the schedule for rehab. So got to do a little bit more research to see there, but it sounds like he should be back. Elijah Aurora, full practice. Sounds like he might be back from the IR. Linebacker Tyrese Knight, back-to-back days of no practice. So one to watch there. And looks like DeMarcus Lawrence, limited with Achilles injury, but is expected to play. So they're pretty healthy, like the Broncos coming off. The 49ers, definitely the more beat-up team here. And obviously the big one, George Kittle, tore his Achilles and is going to be out for this one. So where are you going in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, both times that they played, they were kind of like really low scoring games, if I'm right.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I think it was like 17-19 and then 13-3.
13-3 or something like that.
Yeah.
And, especially with a team or with these guys playing for a third time, I think both teams know each other pretty well. And if I'm getting 7 points in a division matchup in the divisional round of the playoffs, I'll probably take that no
Yeah.
matter who is playing. So yeah, give me San Fran +7. Kyle Shanahan just seems to be in his bag offensively, even though they have struggled a little bit against that Seattle defense at points this year. So yeah, give me San Francisco +7. I think this one will be close, especially if we're expecting a low scoring game. Low scoring games usually closer scores are closer. So yeah, give me San Francisco +7.
Yeah, man. This is a tough. This was probably my hardest one to pick on the side. So
Same.
I'm going to go ahead and just kind of go with the under. Give me the under 45.5 there. You can get it. It's kind of bouncing around. It started as 46.5, but
Right.
I like it at 45.5. You get above that key number of 45. I could definitely see something like 21-24 or something things there. But the first game was 17-13 and the second game was 13-3.
Yep.
And I see no reason for this to be changing. If anything, you just lost George Kittle.
Right.
Even if you get Pearsall back, that's a huge loss to the offense for the 49ers. The Seahawks, they can score on some bad defenses. Absolutely. But they are a defensive team first, and they like to keep these things lower scoring. So at home, this is going to be a tight division rivalry game. Like, they've seen each other. This is their third time this season now. Saleh has that defense of nobodies, really playing hard and playing well, right? Yep. So I think that, and especially with the Seahawks defense, I mean, this Seahawks defense, when they're on, man, them and the Texans, it's like, holy shit.
No doubt.
This is a different level. So yeah, give me the under 45.5. This could be tough though, because you also have on the other side, like Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy, versus Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold. There's a lot of experience difference. Darnold has not done well in high leverage games. Mike McDonald, this would be,
and it'll be interesting to see how Seattle does coming off that bye. We always have that rust versus rest, talk. And I think Sean Payton's been there. He's done that. I really think that the Broncos are going to come out swinging against the Bills. Yeah. I don't know if McDonald and Darnold will necessarily do that against this San Francisco 49ers team.
A lot more questions with the inexperience there. So, all right, let's get to some of these props. Oh, and then I got to mention the 49ers. It seems like they're either not in the playoffs or at least in the AFC Championship. So there's a lot of trends of that going out there. But what do you got for your first prop?
First one, Kittle's out.
Kittle's out.
I love Juwan Jennings in this game. I'm going to take his over 42.5. And basically it comes down to that. I mean, Kittle's out. The ball's got to go somewhere in the passing game. You might be getting Pearsall back, so some might go his way. I don't necessarily know if I trust Tongas in the playoffs quite as much. So yeah, give me Juwan Jennings over the 42.5. If we look back at the last 3 games, he's gone over this number twice. So and one of those was 5 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. So he very much can have a massive game and really pop off. I just don't necessarily know if I can fully trust the yardage numbers for guys like CMC or, I looked at the Njigba number, but it was like 99. It was a massive number. I don't know about that in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, JSN is a stud, but yeah, that is tough to do 99 there. Man, you talked about no George Kittle. Where are they going to go? I'm going to go to a smaller name here, but Kyle Juszczyk, over 1.5 receptions, -130.
And then a small name.
Well, yeah, it's definitely not an easy one to say, but over 1.5 receptions, -130, and then over 15.5 rush receiving yards at -107. I like them both. Look, when you look at Juszczyk, we talked about when Kittle went out, where did Purdy look? He had 4 catches for 4 targets and 49 yards last game in the playoffs, right? You look back at the first time that Seattle and 49ers played, he had 2 catches and 2 targets, 32 yards. That was with everyone healthy. Last time they played, 2 targets, 1 catch for 5 yards only. But again, no George Kittle makes this, a bit different, right? Especially, part of not only Kittle's aspect as a receiver, but Kittle is such a valuable blocking guy that you want someone that can still bring that blocking physicality, and
No doubt.
Kyle Juszczyk is your guy, right? So I
Definitely.
just expect him to be on the field a ton. They
Yep.
obviously don't mind running him on some routes there. He's got really good hands for a fullback. Like,
Yep.
I do think Juszczyk has a little bit of a game here, even if it's just a couple catches out in the flat or some check downs there.
Yeah, no, I actually in bonus pick here, I did take Kyle Juszczyk over 15.5, I think,
Yeah,
as well.
I think it's just it's a nice easy one. All right, where are you going for the anytime touchdown?
Christian McCaffrey. I mean, the guy's going to get 25 touches throughout the game.
At
I
least.
do think the San Francisco offense is going to be able to get a little something going in this one, unlike they have in the first two matchups. I think that Seattle is going to be a little bit rusty. And like I said before, Shanahan just seems to be in his bag when it comes to playoff time. So, yeah, give me CMC, give me the chalk, anytime touchdown. I don't know if I've ever seen Christian McCaffrey at minus 120 for probably, 5-6 years.
Yeah, I was shocked to see that number. I mean, you take it, right? But that's a little bit shocking, and I think it shows you like how much they maybe don't think a lot of touchdowns are getting scored in this one. But yeah, I mean, if it's going to be somebody, it's CMC, man. He's just always around the ball. All right, for mine, I'm going to go Brock Purdy. I'm going to go a little bit of an interception ladder. One interception, some juice, and I think for good reason at minus 155, and two interceptions at plus 290. Those are over on Bet365. Look, the first game they played, two interceptions, right? Against the Seahawks. Last game they played, he threw one interception. The last playoff game, he's got 10 interceptions on the year and playing, not all the full slate of games. He had two interceptions against the Eagles in the playoffs just then. Like, they're going to check the ball, man. They're going to struggle to run in this one. I think it's going to be a tough day on the ground, just like it was against the Eagles. They're going to have to rely on Brock Purdy here, and that's just going to against this defense. The Seahawks are top 5 in the league. They had 18 interceptions on the season, so they are very opportunistic in that way. So look, I'm fine playing the juice minus 155, but I'll also be playing the two interceptions at almost 3-1. Again, in the two games he played, he has 3 interceptions. One of the games he had 2. So I think that's definitely live there. So you are on the 49ers. I am on the under. You like Juwan Jennings to get over his receiving yards and CMC to find the end zone. I like Kyle Juszczyk over on his receptions and his yards, and Brock Purdy to throw 1, if not 2, and maybe 3 interceptions. We'll see. We'll see how far that ladder goes there. All right, we're heading over to Sunday. Sunday, we got last AFC divisional game here. Sunday, January 8th, 3 p.m. Eastern time, we have the number 5 seed Houston Texans sitting at 12-5, heading up to Foxborough to take on the number 2 seed 14-3 New England Patriots. The Texans are catching 3 plus 100. They're plus 150 on the money line. Over under sitting at 40.5. Another little total there. The Pats minus the 3, minus 180 as the home favorite. This is in Gillette Stadium, 30s and partly cloudy there. So it doesn't look like any crazy weather of note. Going to get to some injury stuff here. They're both practicing for the first day today. Starting with Houston. Look, the big names here is Nico Collins and Christian Gonzalez. Yep. This is going to be the bit of a story for the injury report wise. Major difference here. Gonzalez got hurt last Saturday or on Sunday. Nico Collins got hurt Monday. So Gonzalez has one more day of rest. They have to do a limited and a full practice to clear. It's kind of a bit up in the air, especially in playoffs times. It seems like, it really is kind of a shot in the dark whether these guys will play or not. Now, here's the big difference. Nico Collins did not practice today, and coming off a short week, it looks a little bit unlikely he's going to play. If he practices tomorrow, though, that all changes. They have to practice by Thursday to have a shot. On the other side, Christian Gonzalez did practice today, which is a great sign for his availability. To finish up with the Texans there, other than Collins and wide receiver Justin Watson not practicing with the concussion, they're looking to be pretty healthy. Danico Autry also didn't practice today, but he's not practiced on Wednesdays for the past couple weeks and still played. So it looks like they should be almost at full strength. Safety Jalen Reed, who got knocked out of the Pittsburgh game, was a full practice today, so that's a good sign. So potentially missing Nico Collins, but other than that, going to be a pretty healthy team. And on the New England Patriots side of the ball, I talked about Christian Gonzalez practicing. Their defense, everyone is practicing, including defensive tackle Kyrus Tonga, who's been out the past couple weeks there, so they could be getting a good boost on defense. But the offense, a couple offensive linemen not practicing. Right tackle Morgus Moses and his backup Thayer Munford there, both not practicing with knee injuries. It is only Wednesday though, so overall, I mean, it's the health of Nico Collins and Christian Gonzalez, and everybody else should be pretty good to go. So at this point, if I had to guess, I'd say, Gonzalez, 75-80% chance he plays. Nico
Yep.
Collins, probably closer to like 25-30%.
Yep.
All right, brother. Where are you going in this one?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about experience once or twice already, but the Patriots, Vrabel has all kinds of playoff experience. It's been a few years, but he has some playoff experience. Drake May now has one game under his belt.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud has quite a few games under his belt at this point, as well as D'Amico Ryans. But at the end of the day, I mean, the Patriots played pretty well on Sunday night against against the LA Chargers team, but not as well as the Houston Texans defense did. I mean, holy smokes, dude, that unit is legit.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Chargers defense is pretty solid themselves. The Pats scored 16 points against them. I don't know if they're going to score 16 points against this Houston Texans defense. I think between Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson Jr., Derek Stingley, like that Patriots offense usually does enough to get a win. They're not full of playmakers. They're not necessarily a high flying offense. I think that Houston Texans defense really puts the nails in the coffin at the end of the day, and at least covers this 3-point spread, if not wins it outright. So give me Houston +3.
Yeah, I am also on Houston, man. This is a team that, like, we've seen it. Their defense is good enough. They have a shot to win any game. They have a shot to beat anybody because of how good their defense is. Their defense is going to be healthy. I understand Nico Collins potentially is not going to be out. That is a big injury, but
he went out in like the first or second quarter this past week, and they ended up still moving the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
if they held on.
Had arguably his best game of the season without Nico Collins this year. Nico Collins hasn't been quite as dominant. And I think using some of these other guys in their run game, I've been really impressed with their offensive line. Their offensive line was trash to start the year, and they've done much better. Even with the Steelers getting their pressure and some of those turnovers, like the way they've been running the ball, they were pushing the Steelers 4 or 5 yards off the line, man. And the last couple of weeks, especially with Harmon in the lineup, the Steelers' rush defense had been top in the league.
Yes.
So this was the way they ran the ball was really.
Woody Marks went over 100 yards. Nick Chubb was just running over dudes. It got ugly.
They were physical, and I think that this is a good way. Like, it's going to be a great matchup here. But I'm going to take the 3. Look, New England, they're 14-3, but all 3 of their losses are at home. A couple came early against Las Vegas, one against Pittsburgh. What did Pittsburgh do? They sacked Drake May. They got some turnovers and they uglied it up, right? Obviously that Buffalo game was a bit of a crazy shootout, but when they play elite defenses, they haven't played a ton. But if you look at the Pittsburgh game, they only put up 14. I'm trying to really look at another good defense.
I think they turned the ball over 5 times that game.
I just don't like. They haven't really played a unit this good. And so I think that this is really going to be a wake up call. So give me Houston as well. Plus the 3. I'm all over that. Okay, where are we going prop wise?
Let's go Drake May under 35.5 rushing yards. I know that he just rushed for 60 some yards this past game. On 10 carries. I just don't think that Houston Texans defense is going to allow him to do that. On average this season, they've given up 18 yards per game to the opposing quarterback on the ground. This number has only gone over 3 times against this Houston Texans defense all year. And 2 of those 3, it sneaked over by a yard and 2 yards. The only quarterback that's flew over this number was Patrick Mahomes, and he rushed for 59. But I think this Houston Texans team is legit, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I think they're going to key in on Drake May because of the game that he had just this past week.
Well, I'll be on the direct opposite side. I got a little bit Bet365 offering a little bit of a lower number, so I will take it because I'm going to go Drake May over 33.5 rush yards. So
You must
let's
have
go for.
moved the number because mine was also from Bet365.
Well then maybe because I just got this. So yeah, I will say that
Maybe I
let's
didn't.
hope
I
for
don't
a
know.
34 or a 35. We'll take that. But look, I like the over rushing, man. You just said it, 10 for 66 last game. He was just looking to run. And I
Yeah.
think against this defensive line, you got to keep him honest. And I think one way you do that is you slow him down with these pass rush lanes.
Yep.
Look, there were opportunities for Aaron Rodgers to run the ball. He's just 55 years old and just, fragile and senile at this point. So I think that he's got to be able to, this has to be part of his game plan. And I don't think it's going to be, super productive all the time, but I think he's going to have another, 10 carry game where he's going to be able to kind of work his way up, maybe break one, a big one there. But look, it is one that I will not be laddering. I do think the Texans typically do a pretty good job there. But as you mentioned, Justin Herbert got over this number, Patrick Mahomes,
Mhm.
some of these gamer types that maybe don't have the best offensive line. I think he's going to be forced into this. I will say these numbers I didn't see out yet. I'll have to look, and they'll definitely be coming out soon. Good reason to follow us over on the X. But
Yep.
Houston sacks is one I will be playing. I was on both the Chargers and the Patriots. They had 11
Yep.
sacks in both between the two of them in that game. This is going to be another one where I will be probably hitting the sacks pretty hard there. But I'm on the Drake May over. You're on the under. Where are you going for the anytime touchdown?
Yeah, I'm going with Jaden Higgins. I mean, with Nico Collins being out, Christian Gonzalez is beat up. Higgins is legit. He's their second
Yeah.
leading receiver on the year. And in 2 of the last 3 games, he has found the end zone. So yeah, give me Jaden Higgins plus 300.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, he's really been reliable or finding the end zone a lot. And
Yeah.
is he wide receiver one now? We don't really have one, right? So
Right.
3-1, I think, is a really nice price. And I do think the Texans are going to be able to put up some points here, move the
Yeah, I
ball.
mean, I know that Christian Kirk just went off this past Monday, but I think that in general, how I would attack this Patriots secondary, especially if Christian Gonzalez is beat up, is on the outside. So yeah,
Yeah.
give me Jaden Higgins.
Yeah. All right, for me, another Patriots here. I'm going to go Ramondre Stevenson. I'm going to go over 2.5 receptions and over 20.5 receiving yards. This is a little bit of an interesting one. When you think about the Patriots and you think about, dynamic running backs, it's Travion Henderson, right? It's that, he's got the explosive boy speed, yada, yada, yada. But when you think about pass blocking, it's Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, we saw it in this first playoff game. He's the guy who was majority out there. He got 3 touches on 4 targets for 75 yards. He had a long, almost 50-yard run
Yep.
and catch there, and he's hit this number in the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, including this last playoff game.
Yep.
He's gotten over 20.5 receiving yards. In most of those games, he's gone over the 2.5 receptions there. So, this is one that I do think you have an aggressive defense. You're going to have to be able to dump the ball off, and the quarterbacks
Yeah.
going to have to use their legs, right? So I think that Ramondre Stevenson is a guy who probably is not going to get as much attention out there. Like when Travion Henderson's out there, I think those linebackers are going to be very keyed in.
Sure.
But I think Ramondre, he's going to be out there because of his pass blocking, and he's going to be able to take advantage there with some check down stuff. It's very
Yep.
hard to throw down the field on the Texans. So, yeah, I like Ramondre Stevenson there to both receptions and receiving yards. So we were both on these visiting Houston Texans. You were on Drake May under rushing. I'm on his over rushing. You're on Jaden Higgins anytime touchdown. I'm on Ramondre Stevenson over on the receiving yards and the receptions. All right,
Yep.
folks, last one on the slate, and I think this is going to be the one that has firework potential. I think it's going
Mhm.
to be a shootout here. We'll see. But Sunday, January 18th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, last divisional round matchup. We've got the number 5 seed LA Rams sitting there at 12-5. They're taking on the number 2 seed 11-6 Chicago Bears. The Rams are laying 3.5 minus 118. They're almost minus 200 on the money line there as road favorites. Over under sitting at 48.5, and the Bears catching 3.5 at home plus 164. This is, of course, at Soldier Field in Chicago. This is the one game that potentially may have some weather. It's supposed to be in the teens, high teens there,
Yep.
and possible snow, but no crazy wind. So it's going to be cold, that's for damn sure. But it doesn't look like it's going to be anything insane there weather-wise, but it will be cold. All right, what are the injuries in this one? Some of it is very easy. You have some guys that are definitely not going to be there, which is inside linebacker TJ Edwards broke his ankle fracture. It was pretty disgusting.
Yep.
Dislocation,
No doubt.
out for the season. Left tackle Ozzy Trapilo, I believe, tore his patellar tendon, so he's going to
Yep.
be out. And then for the Rams side, Akilla Weatherspoon, he had a broken collarbone. He came back and he got another injury to his shoulder. He is now put on the IR and out for the season. So those three guys are definitely not going to be out there. Now, for some guys who have a shot still, they didn't have a injury report put out yet for the Rams, but we do know Matthew Stafford will be good to go. He's got a right index finger injury on his throwing hand, so it is of note, but it does not, x-rays came back negative. He should be good to go there. Not major concerns. And then left tackle Braxton Jones was fully practicing off the IR last week, so he's got a chance to return this week, which will be good because the Bears just lost their starting left tackle. So sure there'll be more injury stories here. I've got the the Bears injury report in front of me. Just don't have the Rams yet with that West Coast team. But essentially looks like outside of those two guys I mentioned, they should be very healthy. CJ DJ coming back from that concussion, and Joe Tyrone Shoyinka coming back from the concussion, all fully practicing. So is Braxton Jones. DJ Moore, Roman Dunze out there. So outside of Edwards and Trapilo, they should be good to go. And the Rams still waiting on theirs. Looks like Terry Ferguson did practice today, so he should be back. All right. Where are you taking us?
Well, I mean, just game wise, if we're to look back at our futures show, preseason, I am now in between a rock and a hard place because I was not very high on either the Bears or the Rams coming into this season.
Okay.
I was a little bit higher on the Rams, but anyways, I think in general, the Bears just seem to be that team that we just tend to find each year that just wins games somehow. Last year was the Washington Commanders, and this year the Bears just find ways to win.
Yep.
And especially there in Chicago against the Rams team that struggled against the Carolina Panthers, who I think we would both agree Carolina Panthers are not as good as the Chicago Bears. They're not a very good team. But give me the Chicago Bears catching the three, or I'll take the 3.5 in this one. And I think most of it just comes down to they just find out how to win games.
Yeah. No, I would say that, if I was going to pick a side, it would probably be the Chicago side.
This could have a lot of fireworks.
That's where I'm going to go with this, man. Look, the Rams, I will say 5-4 on the road, so it's not like they've been the road warriors that they're going to have to be. So exactly. I think that favors Chicago. But yeah, man, give me the over 48.5. I even took this when it was in the 50s when it first opened up. I understand that. I'm sure the weather and the cold is like what's drawing people off. I've very much leaned out of that, buy into the weather crap because it seems like all those games pop over and it's never as bad as they tell us it's going to be. Looking at this one, it's going to be cold and there might be a little snow, but there's no crazy wind. And both of these defenses, man, they are susceptible. You talk about the Rams, the Rams just gave up 31 points to those Carolina Panthers, right? Not the most offensively explosive team. They played a 37-20 game against the Cardinals. They played a 27-24 game against Atlanta, 38-37 game against Seattle, and then 41-34. They've hit the over in the past, 5 games. And then you look at the Green Bay side, they as well, 31-27 game, 42-38 game against San Francisco. They can put up some points, and they're also susceptible. Both these secondaries will let up yards, will let up points. So I know they're both good at turning the other team over. However, they let up a lot of yards and points. So I think you can run on the Bears, you can throw on the Bears, you can run on the Rams, you can throw on the Rams. Like, good offenses have their way with both of these defenses. So I love the over here much more than I want to pick a side. I just want to root for points because I think this game is going to have an explosion. I think this game's going to be really, really fun. So I'm in the over 48.5 minus 110, and I'll keep taking that. If it keeps going down because people start getting spooked by the weather, I will gladly eat that up. All right, where are we going for the prop this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody was kind of off of Devontae Adams last week, coming off of that injury that he had.
Yeah.
That didn't really slow him down. He had 5 catches for 72 yards. I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't find the end zone. Might be a decent play for this week. I don't necessarily know what the number is. I'm sure it's probably pretty juiced, but yeah, I think Devontae Adams has himself a little bit of a day here against the Bears defense that has given up 280 some yards to the wide receivers in the last couple of games. So yeah, Devontae Adams over 56.5.
Yeah. Okay. For me, all of my props relate to one guy, and it's a guy who is probably going to be the NFL MVP this season. So I'm going to start with the positive. Matthew Stafford over 265.5 pass yards. Matthew Stafford over 200.5 passing touchdowns. The pass yards are
at not 200.5.
What I two?
You said 200.5 passing touchdowns. That's a hell of a game. It's going to pop over just a little.
Yeah, really. But yes, 2.5 passing touchdowns plus 155 there. Stafford 300 yards last game, 3 touchdowns. You look at his last couple games, he's 4 touchdowns. A lot of the 3 and 2 touchdown games, he's popped over this number there of 265 multiple times. Look, the Bears defense, again, they're opportunistic, which will get me to another point. They lead the league with 23 interceptions, but damn, do they give up some yards in the passing game, right? I mean, they really give up yards in both there. Right. But they are not a lockdown defense by any mean. They give up 227 yards during the season on average. When we look at their game just last week, they gave up plenty of yards to Jordan Love. I believe, let me check real quick, but I believe Jordan Love went over 300 yards in that game. So again, this is a defense that they'll turn you over, but you can get your yards. You can get some touchdowns on them. Jordan Love, 323 and 4 passing touchdowns. I think Matthew Stafford is better than Jordan Love. So I'm going to definitely play these numbers here. My last thing here, though, I will take Matthew Stafford, 1+ interception, minus 108. I don't think this should be close to even money. He's been prone to turn the ball over. He had an interception last week.
Defense for sure.
Yeah, he's had 3 interception games. He had that 3 interception game against Atlanta, 2 interception game against Carolina. He will turn the ball over. And the Bears, number 1 defense in the NFL, turn you over. So if we're gonna get that at close to plus money, I will gladly take that. Where's your anytime touchdown this week?
Yeah, another guy that returned from injury this past week. Give me Odunze anytime touchdown at plus 280. I think that he matches up the best against this Rams secondary. I think in general, DJ Moore was kind of the guy last week, but we know that they have 3 pretty studly wide receivers between Moore and Burton and Odunze. But yeah, I'm taking Odunze this week. He hasn't scored since I think the first week of November. It's time for him to find the end zone again.
He's due. Yeah, I like it. All right, so Derek is on the Bears. I'm on the over there. He's on Devontae Adams to get over his receiving prop and Odunze to find the end zone at almost 3-1. And I'm on Matthew Stafford pretty much over everything, including pass yards, pass touchdowns, and interceptions. All right, my friend, it is time for the best segments for the NFL divisional rounds. Because I am such a gracious host, I will let you go first. What is your lock for the NFL divisional playoffs?
Yeah, I think San Francisco keeps it close. I think that the Seattle Seahawks come out a little bit flat. I don't necessarily trust Sam Darnold in the playoffs, although he has looked pretty good for the majority of the season. I think San Francisco comes out and gets things rolling pretty early in this one. So San Francisco plus 7.
Yeah, history would definitely be on your side with both Darnold and San Francisco there. My lock this week, Denver Broncos, money line, minus 105. Look, the Denver Broncos are a better version of what the Jaguars want to be. They're going to
Yeah.
shut down James Cook. They're going to create Josh Allen in some pressure situations, and he's going to turn the ball over.
Yep.
And unlike the Jaguars, the Broncos are going to continue to do what's good. They're going to run the rock, and they're going to milk this game out. It is going to be a close game, but I think mile high, the home field advantage, and ultimately Josh Allen does not have a lot of help. I think the Denver Broncos are a more complete team. They get this done. Give me the Denver Broncos on the money line, minus 105. What is your dog this week?
Oh, the Houston Texans, man. What they did to my Steelers, I hope they go all the way. I think that defense can take them all the way. And CJ Stroud does have more playoff experience than Drake May. So, yeah, give me Houston on the money line.
Yeah, absolutely. Houston money line plus 150. That is also my dog this week. That defense will keep them in every game. I like them to get some turnovers, potentially some touchdowns. We'll see.
Yep. Defense travels.
Little teaser there, but Drake May was turning that ball over, and that offensive line is not optimal right now.
No doubt.
I think CJ Stroud, whether Nico Collins plays or not, is going to be able to move the ball. They're running the ball much better. So, yeah, I'm on the Houston Texans as well. On the money line, plus 150. Pats surprisingly not as good at home as they are on the road this season. Okay, time to get a little bit degenerate. Where are you going for your Degen play this week?
Yeah, I'm just going to run it back, do my anytime touchdown round robin. If we hit Cortland Sutton, Christian McCaffrey, Jaden Higgins, and Rome Odunze, all four of them find the end zone. The top number is basically 80-1. So
80-1. That's it, my friend.
That's it. I know.
I love it. I love it. All right, I'm gonna follow your lead here. I got two anytime touchdown round robins. One's pretty simple, and it's obviously following a theme. It's a theme of look, it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be a little bit of wind, a little bit of weather in these games, but we've got some really good defenses against some quarterbacks that look to turn the ball over. So I'm gonna do an anytime touchdown round robin between three defenses and special teams. That is the Chicago Bears, who have a couple of defensive interceptions returned for touchdown this year. That will be against Matthew Stafford, right? He's thrown a couple pick sixes. We've seen it against Carolina. This is what he can do. Houston Texans, they had two just last week against Aaron Rodgers. Drake May had an interception near the goal line and a fumble. That is very live there. And then the Seattle defense and special teams, they have two special teams touchdowns and a defensive touchdown there. They're going against Brock Purdy, another guy who likes to turn the ball over. Anytime touchdown round robin there, 181-1 if you put them all together as a parlay. I know that sounds crazy, but don't worry. I'm going to give you something even crazier here. I've got four long shots, and now I suggest you very much to play these straight and round robin. Do whatever you want, however much faith you have in me. But I just know I will be playing all these each way, everywhere way you could do it. Look, one from each, not one from each game, but four guys here. Curtis Samuel plus 950. I just told you, no Gabe Davis, no Tyrell Shavers, no Joshua Palmers. Last year, when playing against the Broncos, Curtis Samuel found the end zone. When he is healthy, the Bills do design stuff for him, especially around the red zone. So plus 950, insane price. Does not make sense to me. No George Kittle in San Francisco. A guy who got some targets after he went out. Luke Farrell, anytime touchdown. 10-1. Plus 1,000 there. He is the tight end 2 now. I know Tungus is a good receiving threat, but I love tight end 2s around the red zone, especially in a Shanahan offense. Olamide Zaccheaus for the Chicago Bears. Yes, he is still in the league. I was between him and Jade Walker. Jade Walker was a healthy scratch last week and eliminated Zaccheaus. All he did, 2 targets and 1 touchdown against the Packers, who he just scored last week. Caleb seems to trust him. And then Colby Parkinson's been on a touchdown tear. I mean, he's had multiple 2-touchdown games. He had the game-winning touchdown last week. He's at plus 235. He's the one that's not really the crazy long shot in that, but I just like I think the price. I mean, outside of Devontae Adams, like he's almost been the lock to score through the air. It really hasn't been Puka. It's been Colby Parkinson. So I know their tight ends can be a little bit tricky on picking which one, but I think Colby Parkinson's clearly shown around the red zone. Matthew Stafford trusts him. So I would encourage you to play those straight up round robin. But if you want to get crazy and parlay all four, that is just a simple 2,787-1. Just very simple there. So
It's too many numbers.
I
At
know.
this
As a
point, I don't
recap, because we're excited and football's coming to an end and we just want to bet everything on the board. Derek's lock of the week is San Francisco 49ers +7, +100. His money line dog is the Houston Texans on the money line at +150. And that is his anytime touchdown. Roma Dunze, Jaden Higgins, Christian McCaffrey, and Cortland Sutton there. The 4 plays he gave out for his anytime touchdown.
Yep.
For myself, I'm on the Denver Broncos money line at -105 as my lock this week. I'm also on the Houston Texans money line at +150 for the dog. I've got that defensive, touchdown, running around Robin between Chicago, Houston, and Seattle. But official Degen plays here: Curtis Samuel, Luke Farrell, Olamide Zaccheaus, and Colby Parkinson, all to find the end zone, and we just make all the money. So very simple, guys. Just do your job, get in the end zone. But hey, man, another fun show. It's playoff football. It's just, look, I think we've got 4 amazing games
Yep.
on the slate here. What do you got for the people before we get on out of here?
Yeah, I mean, we got 4 amazing games Saturday and Sunday, but then we also have the college football playoff finale, the championship game on Monday nights. Indiana taking on Miami. We're doing our
Episode
championship preview coming tomorrow night. You won't want to miss that, especially after we absolutely crushed the Indiana side. Miami, but anyways, we do appreciate all the likes and subscribes and all of the support that we've been getting throughout the season. If you haven't already done so, just press that little subscribe button right there. If you haven't told all of your coworkers, all of your family members, all of your friends, all of your neighbors, go ahead and tell them what we're doing over here at the Degen Docs on DFSG Plus. We greatly appreciate all of the support. Tell us down in the comments what you are doing this weekend betting wise. Hopefully you're not fading us, because if you are, sucks to be you.
Yeah, as Derek mentioned, man, that national championship, that'll be out tomorrow. We'll record that tomorrow. Yeah, we had a really nice semifinal. We both hit our locks on the props. We were 7-3, so a lot of units there, man. Last episode we were up 8.5 units, and the way the season's going, that almost feels like a disappointment. So we are gonna do better this week, baby. I'm excited for this one. But all you got to do, show's completely free. We want to keep it that way. Give us a like and subscribe. Let the bosses know that you guys actually don't mind listening to us. And Derek said, yeah, man, chop it up in the comments. Give us both a follow on X he's at Professor Locks or Professor _ Locks 2. I'm at the Degen Doc. Always posting injury updates, last minute bets. You'll probably see some of my defensive sack stuff come in because I'm always thinking about how we can take advantage of these books. So, and you know what they say. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the Degen Docs, we've got your prescription. From Professor Locks and Doc here on DFSG Plus, we are out of here.